Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the AmandaFest podcast, where our intention here is simple. It's to inspire and empower you to take aligned action towards your dream life, whatever that looks like for you. I have another solo episode here today. It is the first recording of 2025. Welcome to the new year. Today's episode is going to be all about embracing change, living intentionally, and the power of community. I am so grateful to have had this platform this last year, 2024, and so excited for what is about to unfold in 2025. As we've done with every episode, before we dive into the conversation, would love to just take a moment for us all to ground down, get present, arrive in the here and now, and make ourselves as available as humanly possible to absorb all the juice and wisdom that's about to come through your ear holes. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, if it's safe to do so, I invite you to close down your eyes. I like to put a hand on my heart and one on my belly. Just start tuning into your internal state. Noticing what your baseline is, noticing where you're at right now. What are you coming into this moment with? Maybe it's stress, maybe it's anxiety, maybe you're tired. Maybe you're just feeling good, whatever it is, just notice it. I invite you to take some cleansing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And with your inhale, I want you to think about your intention for this listening session. What is something that you want to call in, something that you want to experience, something that you want to feel, whatever it is. I want you to just hold that vision in your heart. Breathe it in and let go anything that is not in alignment with that intention. So we're going to do that a couple times together. Nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And last one, make it count. Nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Welcome. Welcome back, everybody. It's 2025. What the fuck? So crazy. I always feel like because my birthday is on November 11th, it's like once my birthday hits, it's like my birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and the year's completely over. And it just goes by in a blink. I know there's all those memes that are running around the internet of those days between Christmas and New Year's where nobody knows what day it is. Nobody's had a full meal. Everybody's just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, I definitely was in that energy for sure. And it was really interesting as well. I mentioned it a bit on the last solo pod that, you know, the timing obviously of the new year, stepping into new chapters, embracing change was really aligned with just my own personal evolution. For those who don't know, I've been living nomadically since May of 2023. So I haven't had my own home, my own space. I haven't paid rent since May of 2023, which has been awesome and fun and freeing and beautiful and amazing and exciting and all the things and really fucking challenging. There's duality in all of it, right? When people ask me, what's it like being a nomad? I always say there's duality to it. But for the last 6-ish months, in May, I came to New York. I was supposed to stay for a weekend, turned into a week, turned into a month. I had been basically in and out of New York mostly for the last half of the year. Very grateful that my family has a place for me to home base there. I had my own space. I was able to be in my own energy and really was able to like come back to life. The year started off pretty challenging. I quit my job May of 2023. I went on my little eat, pray, love journey. I came back and reality hit and I was like, shit, how am I gonna make a living? How am I gonna support myself? And what's my purpose? Why am I here? What am I creating? And so all those questions were sort of roaming around. And 2024 for me was truly the year of getting clarity on what all that was. I got a remote 9-to-5 that was not in alignment with my dharma, but it was something that was a means to an end. I knew that I wanted to continue traveling while I got clarity on what I was building. And so I needed a job to do that and support me with that while I was doing that. So 2024 was basically the year of clarity for me. I launched my LLC in February while I also got this remote 9-to-5. I started the podcast. I started content creation. I invested in myself in different courses and learning how to show up authentically on social media, personal branding, marketing, sales, all of these things necessary to support myself with my mission, which is all about inspiring and empowering you guys, not only to take aligned action towards your dream lives, but also how to connect deeper to yourselves through intentionality and play. And that's my main goal. If I can be the beacon of light that shows people and allows people to see what is possible in this world, like I have done everything that I was brought here on this earth to do. So 2024 was awesome. But as the year was wrapping up, there was a lot of uncertainty, and I was getting really, really, really sad about leaving New York. I feel like whenever I'm in a moment of transition, even if the thing that I'm transitioning into is really exciting, there's still like fear, and the way that our brains are wired, it's to believe that same is safe. And so because I was in the same for so long, I associated that with safe, and so change feels scary, right? And so I decided a few months ago that I knew that I was going to have to leave New York at the end of December, and I was thinking about where I wanted to go in January. I was debating between Mexico and Costa Rica. I knew I wanted to go somewhere warm, somewhere tropical, somewhere inspiring, somewhere spiritually connected. And so I ended up getting an invitation from a close friend of mine whose home I'm in right now in Playa del Carmen. And she offered me a space to ground and to be and to start my new year off in. So here I am. Obviously, I made it. But the lead up and the build up to coming here was interesting. If you had asked me last week if I was excited about coming to Mexico, I would have said not yet. That's often how I am when I'm traveling in general. I don't like to get excited about the next thing because I really enjoy being present in the thing that I'm in now, which is really different from how I used to be. If you knew me growing up, my whole life, I was always the I can't wait until person. It was always in a rush. When I was in elementary school, I couldn't wait until middle school. When I was in middle school, I couldn't wait until high school. When I was in high school, I couldn't wait until college. I always was in this energy of like, oh, what's the next thing? I can't wait, I can't wait. But what that did was it kept me from being able to be present and in the moment, and I missed a lot. So between that energy of like that, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait, and my disconnection from self and my lack of intention, which I talk about a lot, that I was dissociated for a good portion of my life, which meant that I wasn't really connected to myself, and in my physical body, I was kind of like somewhere else. And so all of those things together prevented me from being able to show up fully, be present in the moment, and available for life. So I wanted to talk about intentionality, right? So I talked about my pre-game meditation. It's available on my link in bio on my Instagram. But basically I talk about intentions, and I say that before I lived with intentionality, before I thought about setting intentions, before going out, before social experiences, you're running on autopilot. And my autopilot was all about external validation. My autopilot was all about who's looking at me, who thinks I'm pretty, who likes me, and it led to disappointment. I did touch on this a bit in the last episode, but like, for example, if I was going out with a group of friends and we were going to go see a show, I would be so hyper-focused subconsciously on seeking that external validation that even if the show was incredible, even if I was having a great time with my friends, because my intention and my focus was somewhere else, if that other thing wasn't fulfilled, all of the other amazing magical things that were happening didn't even register in my brain. And I feel like when you're living in that, like, I can't wait until energy, you miss a lot of magic. You're not really open for experience and opportunity because your brain is just sort of focused elsewhere. That was the opposite of my experience the last couple weeks in New York, because now that I have come to this understanding of how important intentionality is, how important it is to be present, how important it is to just be in the moment and just available for what wants to unfold. My last couple weeks in New York were absolutely magical because I was so fucking present. So I talked about in the end of the last episode briefly of a little romantic situation that came and went pretty fast. and how I had to say no to that because it wasn't in alignment. And again, I think that a past version of me would have clung on to that last experience because this guy was great and he was nice and he liked me and he treated me well and he checked a lot of boxes. And an old version of me with a scarcity mindset would have been like, okay, well, you're not going to get better than this. So even though this, and this isn't in alignment, like just take it, you know? But I know better than that. And also I'm in a space where I truly, completely and fully am so happy with the life that I've created for myself that I'm not desperately seeking for somebody to fix it, right? I'm looking for someone to add value. And if someone isn't adding value to my already amazing, magical, beautiful life, then it's not a fit. And I'm not going to settle and I'm not going to compromise. It's either a fit or it's not. And I'm the only one that knows that. And if you're listening to this and you're like sitting there making a pros and cons list of whether or not you should be with someone, tune into your gut. You know the fucking answer. Like if you're asking the question, you know the answer. So I stepped away from that connection, and literally days later, I'm not even exaggerating, I opened myself up again, just being available to connection. And I ended up meeting somebody else who happened to be traveling through New York, and his timeline honestly was really perfect with mine because he was traveling. He arrived, I think, like a few days before Christmas and was leaving just after New Year's. And I hadn't even booked Mexico yet, but I knew that I was going to be leaving shortly. You know, when you're going on the dating apps and it says, what are you looking for? Mine says I'm looking for partnership. I'm pretty clear about that. But what makes that complicated is the fact that I'm not always in one place. So on one hand, I'm looking for partnership and I'm looking for somebody to do life with. And then on the other hand, I'm moving around all the time, which makes that really complicated because I feel like most people who are seeking partnership want somebody that's in the same place where it would be nice and easy, where you meet someone, you have a good connection with them, you go on one date a week and you get to slowly build and get to know them. With me, it's going to be different because I'm not like everyone else, and the way that I'm living my life is really unconventional, which means that the way that I'm going to date is going to be really unconventional. So the way in which I'm looking for partnership is I kind of go all in, right? When I meet someone and I connect with them, I'm down to just dive right in and explore and see what this could potentially be. And I'm really looking for somebody that's on the same page as that. Definitely not looking for hookups, for fleeting relationships. I feel like I did a lot of that in my early 20s. I got that out of my system. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm truly, genuinely looking for like beautiful, soul-connected relationships, and remaining detached from how that can come about, what that looks like. There's a duality to this, and I do feel like it's really important to share because, especially as somebody who is dating unconventionally, there may be other people out there that are seeking to experience life in that way as well. And so I want to share my example of here's how I'm showing up in intentionally dating while I'm traveling. This is what I'm looking for, and this is how I'm going about it and how I'm able to call this in, and maybe hopefully that can support you as well. I think the number one thing is just being super clear of what it is and what it isn't, especially with the person, right? So like on your dating app, if you are looking for connection and a relationship, making sure you're not swiping on guys that are saying, just looking for fun, just looking for a casual thing. Of course, when you meet somebody, things shift and change, but I think stepping into a connection with someone, you want to make sure that you're both on the same page generally as to what you're looking for, and obviously remaining open as to what it could unfold to be. But I don't want to be coming into a date with somebody who's looking to hook up, and that's not my MO. So I think that's super, super important. So basically, things ended with this last guy. I let that go. I was like, okay, I'm making space for something that's more aligned. And then a few days later, I ended up connecting with a new person. I just went on a date with him. He was traveling. He seemed sweet. I was in a space where I was seeking connection and also just was open. And so I went out with this guy, not expecting anything. We had a really nice dinner. He doesn't drink and I barely drink, so we went out for mocktails after. It was sweet. We had a cute little sweet kiss at the end, and I liked him, but I was like, okay, I'm not attached. We'll see what this turns into. And then the next day, he messaged me. This was Christmas Eve. For context as well, who's available on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day? Well, somebody who's traveling solo and somebody who is also traveling solo and also is Jewish. So it just worked out that we both happened to be available on one of the most family holidays of the year. So the next day he had Christmas dinner at this beautiful rooftop in Manhattan overlooking the Empire State Building with igloos on the roof. It was just such a cute, quintessential New York City holiday experience. He had a friend that he was supposed to go with that was sick, and so he was messaging me, like, oh, what are you up to today, blah, blah. And he told me that his friend was sick, and I was being cheeky, and I was like, oh, well, it's too bad that you don't know anybody else in the city that also happens to be free on Christmas. And he was like, well, I was actually thinking of inviting you. Like immediately when my friend said that, you obviously were the first person that popped in my head. So I ended up going, and yeah, it was amazing. We had a really great time, and that sort of turned into like a 10-day deep dive of just like a really beautiful relationship. We spent basically every single day together. I was still debating whether or not I was going to stay in New York for New Year's Eve. I had tickets for the Sphere in Vegas, and I was debating between, am I going to be in New York, then go to Vegas, then go to Mexico? Or am I going to just stay in New York through New Year's, or am I going to go to Mexico before New Year's? All of this was kind of up in the air before I began this romantic connection. And then throughout our time together, he was telling me that he had these really cool plans. He was going to go see a DJ play at the rooftop bar in New York City. And I eventually decided, I was like, you know what? I was feeling really resistant anyway about leaving New York. I just was sad about leaving. So the Vegas thing wasn't feeling super aligned. The Mexico thing, I was like, I'm going to be in Mexico for a month. Like, I don't need a rush to get there. So I decided to stay in New York and spend New Year's with him. And it was amazing. I mean, the whole 10 days was just really nourishing in so many ways. I think it was nourishing on the relationship front, first of all, because I have been doing this like really big recalibration in the last year or so of shifting the way that I show up in romantic relationships. Similar to how I talk about changing the way that you show up with intentionality. I used to date very non-intentionally. And because of that, because I wasn't showing up in integrity, I was calling in a lot of misaligned partners. And it wasn't serving me. And so I took a pretty long break, like about an 8-9 month break, and wasn't dating anybody, wasn't seeing anybody, wasn't even interested, was just solely focused on myself. And then after that time started to, dabble back into the dating scene, dipping my toe here and there. But like I said, I do tend to fall into these like whirlwind romances where, I meet somebody, connect with them, and we just spend a significant amount of time together and just really have the opportunity to dive deep and connect. And this was one of those. And it was really special. It was really beautiful. We had such a good time together. It was amazing to get to experience New York through a tourist's eyes, especially as I'm leaving and I'm feeling super nostalgic about leaving the city. And it was just so beautiful, exactly what I needed, incredibly nourishing, and also not attached. He doesn't live in the country. And we kind of left it off with like, we'll stay in connection, we'll stay talking, and like, who knows? I don't know. We're still chatting now. I told him I was going to do this episode today and that I was maybe going to mention, again, like the balance of sharing vulnerably. And especially if I'm doing this podcast vlog style, I got to share with you guys what's happening and what's coming up in my life. But there's this really delicate balance of being vulnerable, sharing, extracting the wisdom, and also maintaining some levels of privacy. So obviously I'm not going to dive extremely deep into the intricacies of the last week, but the overall feeling of it was just extremely nourishing, really just beautiful. And such a great reminder of what happens when you let go and you just remain open and honest and communicate clearly. Really amazing, beautiful, aligned experiences can manifest and unfold like that one. So in that last week, I was trying to get clear on my intentions. I had on my to-do list forever. I was like, do a 2024 recap and start thinking about 2025. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm one of those people that used to be an all or nothing, right? I'm either going to do this thing 100% all the way or I'm not going to do it at all. I'm either going to journal for 3 hours straight and do an entire inventory of my whole year and get clear of my new year, or I'm just literally not going to do anything. We're done with that shit. We can do whatever level of things that feel aligned for us, and doing something is better than doing nothing. So I boiled it down to one word that I was calling in for 2025. If you haven't done this yet, it's not too late. You don't need to wait till January 1st to do things like this. You could do this at any time, any day, it doesn't matter at all. But getting clarity on, like we do at the top of this episode, like what is that feeling you want to be filled up with this year? What is the theme? What is one word that you can think of that encompasses all of the things that you're seeking to call in for this next chapter? For me, my word is abundance. Abundance keeps coming up for me. I feel like a lot of people can automatically just go straight to money, which yes, I would like to be in abundance of money for sure. And I want to be in abundance of love. I want to be in abundance of opportunity, of experience, of connection, of community, of all of the juicy magic and play and joy that life has to offer. That is my word. And so on the plane ride from New York to Mexico, I started pulling photos and I created my vision board, which I shared on my Instagram if you want to go over there and check it out. And I feel really good about it. I feel really clear on what I'm calling in this year. I feel really clear about how I'm going to go about doing that. I'm excited to use this podcast, to use my social media as a platform to share and to provide value and to have massive impact and to create abundance of knowledge and experience and wisdom. I want us all to be in abundance. That is like my true goal and mission of life. So let's talk about travel for a minute. I left New York, got on a plane here in Playa del Carmen. I have an incredible friend that has offered me to stay in her home for the next few weeks, which has just been such a gift. I heard a quote recently that I can't stop thinking about, where someone was talking about people that don't have homes and saying that when you see somebody that's homeless on the street, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have money. What it means is that they don't have community. And I heard that and I was like, fuck, wow, okay, yeah, because you can be at your lowest of low, you could have absolutely nothing, you could be down and out. And if you have community, if you have family, if you have people that love and care about you, you will always be provided for. You will always be supported. People will always have your back. And it goes around and around, right? It's not this tit for tat thing where it's like, oh, if you give me this, you do this. It's the lesson in Burning Man. People think that Burning Man's all about bartering. It's about, oh, I give you this, you give me that. No, it's a giving economy, gifting culture. The concept of gifting at Burning Man, the concept of gifting in life is I gift you this without attachment, without expectation, without the desire and need for you to give me something back. And I know universally it will come back around. And that's truly how it all works. So coming here, I'm only a few days in and I'm already just overwhelmed with gratitude for the abundance that is unfolding already on January 4th. I mean, it's crazy. So I have this amazing, beautiful place to stay. I'm planning a trip to Tulum in a couple of days to go see some music. And I was chatting with a friend and I'm trying to figure out, you know, I'm balling on a budget here, right? I'm not trying to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on these experiences, and at the same time, like, I don't want to wait until I'm in abundance to be in abundance, because I'm already in abundance. Abundance is a mindset. It's not a number. So instead of saying, oh, I'm going to work really, really hard, and then I'm going to go on this trip, and then I'm going to work really hard, and then I'm going to go on this trip, I'm just going to continue consistently to show up, continue to work hard. And by the way, I do work very hard. Like I said, with that 9 to 5, I've saved up money. I'm not just frolicking around, playing. I'm truly balancing both ends of the scale here. And I think that is a very, very, very important thing to speak to, because I think very often, especially with social media, people can see other people living a certain way and create judgments around, oh, they can do this, but I can't, and they have this, and da da da. Just know that you never know the full story. You don't know how much work is going on behind the scenes, or what opportunities somebody is creating for themselves in order to have the experiences that they're having. So just keep that in mind. But my purpose and intention of sharing all this with you is to give you guys ideas of like ways in which you can show up, and ways in which you can experience fun and play and joy and abundance and travel and all these things in a different way, right? I think we're kind of brainwashed societally with, the 5-day work week and the 2 weeks vacation a year and the 9-to-5 paradigm and the matrix and all these things. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like that. Yesterday, I worked all day at a beach club in Playa del Carmen overlooking the water. You can do both. I think the goal is to create a life that you don't need a vacation from. And it is Saturday morning and I'm recording this podcast, and I'm going to be working all day on putting this together, and I don't mind, and that's okay, because my weekends and my weekdays look really similar because they're balanced. They're balanced between play and fun and joy and work and ambition and getting things done. And so having that duality is so, so, so important if you want to step into a life of abundance. So I'm planning this trip to go to Tulum in a couple of days. And yesterday, I was just feeling so overwhelmed with the gifts that I've been receiving. I'm traveling light. All my stuff has been in a storage unit for the last 2 years. And I told her I didn't really have that many things for festivals. And she just started pulling all of these festival outfits out to gift to me, to allow me to have something to wear and feel good and fun while I'm out at these shows. So that was amazing. And then I was messaging with another friend, and we were talking about tickets, and I was saying how I needed to be strategic because there's all of these shows that I want to go to next week, but realistically I don't feel like it would be a wise investment for me to spend an absurd amount of money on all of these shows, rather than picking strategically which ones make the most sense. And in this conversation with this friend, she ended up gifting me a few tickets. She was like, how about I help you out with this, and then we go to this, and then we do that. And just, when people are in abundance and are in overflow and are able to share, it is just so amazing. And then the next part of it is, where am I staying, right? So I'm gonna go to Tulum in 2 days without a plan of where I'm staying. I'm hopefully going to couch surf a bit. Again, like I said, I have a couple of friends that are out there, so I may sleep on a couch here or there. I also have some backup options. I'm looking at some hostels, but I just know that when I travel like this, it's not for everybody. I totally get that, because there is some elements of, you really have to learn how to be completely not attached, and like, it's a practice. I feel like I got really, really good at this during my trip to Europe, where I would fly to a country without knowing where I was staying or what I was doing, and then figure it out from there. And for me, it's a game. I just think when you are in the unknown, that's where the juice and the magic happens, right? I feel like when everything is super planned and organized, it doesn't leave a lot of room for the unexpected. It doesn't leave a lot of room for possibility and magic. And so that's the way I like to travel. It's definitely stressful at times, but also a really great lesson in just surrender to the experience. So that's happening next week. I have a great lineup of shows that I'm so excited for. I'm going on a yacht tomorrow with a group of friends. That's going to be really fun. I'm going to see some of my favorite artists. I'm going to get to dance. I'm going to get to play. I'm very, very, very excited, and also very not attached and open and curious to how it all wants to unfold. So that's very exciting. I think the theme and the message there is just continue to show up in integrity and authentically, and amazing things will come. Continue to be a good friend. Continue to give without expectation of receiving in return, and magic will unfold. I feel like karmically, all these amazing things continue to unfold because I not only have committed myself to doing the work, right? I'm deep on the spiritual path of committing myself towards showing up in integrity and being the best version of myself and constantly growing in it. And I'm walking the talk as well. I'm not just sitting in ceremony and then coming out and just saying, fuck it. I am doing the absolute best that I can every single day, every single moment, in every single instance, with every single relationship, to show up as authentically, as honestly, and in the most integrity humanly possible. And I think that when you are doing that, magic has to unfold. Like, it just does. So I invite you all to continue to do that work and to continue to show up and to continue to take accountability when you're not showing up in integrity, right? I'm not fucking perfect. There are absolutely moments where I am showing up in ways that maybe aren't in alignment with who I say I want to be. And I invite feedback, right? When I, show up in a certain way and I hurt someone or I respond a way that's not received well, I want to know. I want to know, how can I be better? How can I approach the situation from a more aligned space? And how could I continue to show up every single day as the most aligned and in integrity version of myself humanly possible, to then have the ability to be of service to others? So that's all we got today, short and sweet. The bigger themes from this episode are about embracing change, living intentionally, the power of community, non-attachment, surrender. I mean, these are just the life lessons of all the things. But I really do encourage all of you guys to take inventory of the way that you show up on a day-to-day basis and compare that not to others, but to your own self. And are you better than you were yesterday? And are you showing up today in integrity and in alignment with who you say you want to be? What does this dream version of you look like? What is the life that you're calling in? And how can you not just call it in, but how can you take action towards it? And how can you just be it, right? How can you just embrace all that which you are desiring and just start being it? Because it all starts with your mind. It all starts with what you believe to be possible. It all starts with getting out of your comfort zone and taking that leap. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for what 2025 has to offer. I'm so excited for this upcoming week. I've got some great guests lined up for this year that I'm so excited to share with you guys. And I can't wait to see what everybody creates in 2025. Thank you guys so much for listening. Sending you all so much love, and I will see you on the next one.